We are not interested in the possibilities of defeat. They do not exist. The Queen is most anxious to enlist everyone in checking this mad, wicked folly of women's rights. It is a subject which makes the Queen so furious that she cannot contain herself. Great events make me quiet and calm. It is only trifles that irritate my nerves. For a man to strike any women is most brutal, and I, as well as everyone else, think this far worse than any attempt to shoot, which, wicked as it is at least more comprehensible and more courageous. Beware of artists. They mix with all classes of society, and are therefore most dangerous. The important thing is not what they think of me, but what I think of them. It's not what they think of me that matters, but what I think of them. A rule which I cannot sufficiently recommend is never to permit people to speak on subjects concerning yourself or your affairs, without your having yourself desired them to do so. The moment a person behaves improperly on this subject, change the conversation, and make the individual feel that he has made a mistake. People will certainly try to speak to you on your own personal affairs. Decline it boldly, and they will leave you alone. Then, dear Mama, I hope you will grant me the first request I make to you, as Queen. Let me be by myself for an hour. To these qualities must be added one which is of great importance. This is discretion. Humble as it seems, it has often brought about successes in which talent failed and genius did not succeed. Discretion in the great affairs of the world does wonders, and safety depends frequently and is chiefly derived from it. The important thing is not what they think of me, but what I think of them. Being pregnant is an occupational hazard of being a wife. I would venture to warn against too great intimacy with artists, as it is very seductive and a little dangerous. I feel sure that no girl would go to the altar if she knew all. A marriage is no amusement, but a solemn act, and generally a sad one. Being married gives one one's position like nothing else can. An ugly baby is a very nasty object, and the prettiest is frightful. When I think of a merry, happy, free young girl, and look at the ailing, aching state a young wife generally is doomed to, which you can't deny is the penalty of marriage. I don't dislike babies, though I think very young ones rather disgusting. I think people really marry far too much. It is such a lottery after all, and for a poor woman a very doubtful happiness. None of you can ever be proud enough of being the child of such a father who is not his equal in this world. So great, so good, so faultless. Try, all of you, to follow in his footsteps, and don't be discouraged, for to be really in everything like him none of you, I am sure, will ever be. Try, therefore, to be like him in some points, and you will have acquired a great deal. The Queen is most anxious to enlist everyone who can speak or write to join in checking this mad, wicked folly of woman's rights, with all its attendant horrors, on which her poor feeble sex is bent. A strange, horrible business, but I suppose good enough for Shakespeare's day. His purity was too great, his aspiration too high for this poor, miserable world. His great soul is now only enjoying that for which it was worthy. Everybody grows but me. He speaks to me as if I was a public meeting. The great event of the evening was Jenny Lind's appearance, and her complete triumph. She has a most exquisite, powerful and really quite peculiar voice, so round, soft and flexible, and her acting is charming and touching and very natural. That book, the Bible, accounts for the supremacy of England. England has become great and happy by the knowledge of the true God through Jesus Christ. That book accounts for the supremacy of England. My dearest dear Albert sat on a footstool by my side, and his excessive love and affection gave me feelings of heavenly love and happiness I never could have hoped to have felt before. He clasped me in his arms, and we kissed each other again and again. His beauty, his sweetness and gentleness, really how can I ever be thankful enough to have such a husband? To be called names of tenderness I have never yet heard used to me before, was bliss beyond belief. Oh, this was the happiest day of my life. May God help me to do my duty as I ought, and be worthy of such blessings. There is, however, another subject on which the Queen feels most strongly, and that is this horrible, brutalizing, Christian-like vivisection. It must really not be permitted. It is a disgrace to a civilized country. What you say of the pride of giving life to an immortal soul is very fine, dear, but I own I cannot enter into that. I think much more of our being like a cow or a dog at such moments, when our poor nature becomes so very animal and unecstatic. You will find as the children grow up that as a rule children are a bitter disappointment, their greatest object being to do precisely what their parents do not wish and have anxiously tried to prevent. The danger to the country, to Europe, to her vast empire, which is involved in having all these great interests entrusted to the shaking hand of an old, wild, and incomprehensible man of 82, is very great. I am every day more convinced that we women, if we are to be good women, feminine and amiable and domestic, are not fitted to reign. At least it is they that drive themselves to the work which it entails. The government should take a firm, bold line. This delay, this uncertainty, by which, abroad, we are losing our prestige and our position, while Russia is advancing and will be before Constantinople in no time. Then the government will be fearfully blamed, and the Queen so humiliated that she thinks she would abdicate at once. Oh, was ever woman so blessed as I am? Bring me a cup of tea and the Times. The poor fatherless baby of 8 months is now the utterly broken-hearted and crushed widow of 42. My life as a happy one is ended. The world is gone for me. If I must live on, it is henceforth for our poor fatherless children, for my unhappy country, which has lost all in losing him, and in only doing what I know and feel he would wish. Men never think, at least seldom think, what a hard task it is for us women to go through this very often. God's will be done, and if He decrees that we are to have a great number of children, why we must try to bring them up as useful and exemplary members of society. Affairs go on, and all will take some shape or other, but it keeps one in hot water all the time. That's what I call twaddle. Oh, if those selfish men, who are the cause of all one's misery, only knew what their poor slaves go through. What suffering, what humiliation to the delicate feelings of a poor woman, above all a young one, especially with those nasty doctors. We placed the wreaths upon the splendid granite sarcophagus, and at its feet, and felt that only the earthly robe we loved so much was there. The pure, tender, loving spirit which loved us so tenderly, is above us, loving us, praying for us, and free from all suffering and woe. Yes, that is a comfort, and that first birthday in another world must have been a far brighter one than any in this poor world below. No civilization is complete which does not include the dumb and defenseless of God's creatures within the sphere of charity and mercy. The Queen is most anxious to enlist everyone who can speak or write to join in checking this mad, wicked folly of woman's rights with all its attendant horrors on which her poor, feeble sex is bent, forgetting every sense of womanly feeling and propriety. The Queen has done all she could on the dreadful subject of vivisection, and hopes that Mr. Gladstone will speak strongly against such a practice, which is a disgrace to humanity. Lord Aberdeen was quite touched when I told him I was so attached to the dear Highlands and missed the fine hills so much. There is a great peculiarity about the Highlands and Highlanders, and they are such a chivalrous, fine, active people. She was such a beautiful and sweet creature, and so full of tricks. We poor creatures are born for man's pleasure and amusement, and destined to go through endless sufferings and trials. I love peace and quiet. I hate politics and turmoil. We women are not made for governing, and if we are good women, we must dislike these masculine occupations. Total abstinence is an impossibility, and it will not do to insist on it as a general practice. The greatest maxim of all is that children should be brought up as simply and in as domestic a way as possible, and that they should be as much as possible with their parents, and learn to place the greatest confidence in them in all things. Since it has pleased Providence to place me in this station, I shall do my utmost to fulfill my duty towards my country. I am very young, and perhaps in many, though not in all things, inexperienced, but I am sure that very few have more real goodwill and more real desire to do what is fit and right than I have. I positively think that ladies who are always enceinte quite disgusting. It is more like a rabbit or guinea pig than anything else, and really it is not very nice. Just close your eyes and think of England. Beware of artists, they mix with all classes of society and are therefore most dangerous. Do not to let your feelings of momentary irritation and discomfort be seen by others. Don't let every little feeling be read in your face and seen in your manner. Give my people plenty of beer, good beer, and cheap beer, and you will have no revolution among them. Were women to unsex themselves by claiming equality with men, they would become the most hateful, heathen, and disgusting of beings, and would surely perish without male protection. We will not have failure, only success and new learning. Nothing will turn a man's home into a castle more quickly and effectively than a dachshund.